Hi guys, welcome to my garden. If you're new here, my name is Marta. I'm gardening in Zone 6B in Pennsylvania, and this is my second year, well, my second full growing season as a new homesteader. So we're a small homestead. We're on an acre, and not all of the land we're on is usable for growing and raising food. And we're just really enjoying shifting the way that we think about how we source our food. So I want to show you around the garden today, show you what I'm growing right now, and we'll do a little harvesting as we go. At the end of the tour, I also want to show you an experiment that I'm going to try in the garden this year. I really have no idea whether or not it will work, and I'm curious to hear what you think. So this is the upper garden, veggies at the left end, and then flowers down at the other end. Here are my strawberries. This is a June-bearing variety. I know a lot of people in my area are harvesting a bunch of strawberries right now. Mine are in part shade, so they're just starting to ripen. But I think we've got a few that we can harvest today. I've had a little bit of issues. Look at that. With something eating them. I think it's the birds, but it might be a squirrel. I know I saw a squirrel poking around here the other day. We've got a few strawberries ready to eat. Look at that. You can't get a grocery store strawberry that's red all the way through. Behind the strawberries are my potatoes. I'm growing potatoes 3 different ways this year. These are blooming right now. I love it. I think I got my potatoes in a little late last year, and I think I got the timing right this time. I can't believe that it's the beginning of June and I've got blooms. So this bed is my in-ground potatoes. These are the Eva variety. And then back here is my Ruth Stout no-dig potatoes. So you can see they're just in straw. They're not buried. Oh, I've got my first little bloom from those. I didn't know they were blooming. Oh, that's a nice surprise. They're further along than I thought. These are red Norland. And then over here, a little less attractive, is my third approach. Completely an experiment this year. I'm getting the first little bit of growth from this. It's a tiny bit here. So laundry basket potatoes are totally new for me, like I said, and I planted them just because I'm curious to see what happens. I put my Purple Majesty seed potatoes in there, which is the most expensive seed variety I bought, and then was so disappointed because this did nothing, and I thought that it may have gone to waste. But finally, this week, I've seen the first little growth poke out of here. It's a slow germination, but I planted these just before we had a couple nights of a cold snap where temperatures got down into the 20s. So I'm guessing my in-ground and my Ruth Stout potatoes had more insulation from that cold, and these probably got shocked by it. Maybe some of the seed potatoes died. I don't have high hopes for this at this point, but I'll take whatever I get. Past this potato area, I've got my green beans. I got these in the ground a little late, so they're just now sprouting. I'm growing Purple Dragon, which is my absolute favorite. Oh, look. That one's working hard to get out of the soil. This is not my best soil. This is the rockiest, most compacted little patch that I have, but it always gives me good green beans. So I've got Purple Dragon and a golden wax. And then back here is the garlic, which I'm really happy with. It's putting out scapes right now, and it's just big and strong. You can see some of the scapes have developed enough that they're curling, so those need to be harvested. I'm going to do a little scape harvest right now. That's a nice little bundle of scapes. I'll continue coming out here every day for the next week or so because they'll continue to need to be harvested. And then this week I'm going to make garlic scape pesto, pickled garlic scapes, and garlic scape powder, garlic powder. So join me next week. I'll bring you along for that. Next we've got the cabbage and broccoli rows. This front row is Chinese cabbage, and I don't know why I bought it. I bought it on a whim, and I'm not really into it, so I'm letting it flower, and the bees are liking it, and it's just a little decoration in my garden right now. Here are the red acre cabbages. They haven't started putting on heads yet. I'm eager for that. And then I've got 2 rows of green magic broccoli, and there are actually a few heads that are ready to be harvested, so I'm going to cut some now. We'll probably have that for dinner tonight. I always try to cut at an angle when I harvest this. That way I can leave the plant and it'll put out more shoots so I get extra harvests. And that slant means that as it rains, I won't have water accumulating there and rotting. The water will run off. Over here, there's not much to see yet, but this will be full of butternut squash and buttercup squash. I planted those seeds just last night, so I'm hoping that I'll see sprouts in a week or so, and they've got this nice big area to ramble and roam. Here's zucchini. I've lost my zucchini to squash vine borers every year for the past maybe 5 years. They got me here, they got me in Texas, wherever I live, the squash vine borers are there. So I've seen some people online that are pruning to prevent it. I'm trying to, be a chemical-free gardener, and I just cannot figure out what to do about that dreaded borer. So let me know if you've got any tricks. I'm open. Here we come to the more flower-heavy end of the garden. The peonies are in their last stage, but they made me so happy. I think I need to plant more peonies because I've just enjoyed these so much. I think we need more. Lovage, I brought you along for harvesting the other week, and you can see my rhubarb is getting established. That one takes a couple years too. Oh, back here, man, the thistles are really persistent. I weeded this days ago. In amongst the thistles, I've got my tomatillos. My tomatillos did not do well last year, and I'm really hoping that this is the year that I make salsa verde. They're putting on their first blooms. It'd be great to get a good harvest from this. Calla lilies will be blooming soon. They are one of my absolute favorites. It's another thing I probably should just plant more of because I always feel happy when they're blooming. Here are some of the nicest blooms I have right now. The bees have been loving this. It's a new plant to me, and suddenly I'm forgetting its name. I'll print it down below, but it's really been making the bees happy. And I love my bees, even though I cannot seem to see a colony through the winter. I am just determined that this will be the year. Down here at the very end is the fig tree. It was such a hard winter. This winter was brutal. This is a Chicago hardy fig, but I think we tested its limits this winter, so we had to cut it all the way back down to the ground. Everything looked dead and, snapped off like it was dead, but fortunately there's at least a few leaves coming out. I think we're basically starting over now. The fig tree had been 3 years old and was getting to its peak production point, and I think we're back to square one, but I'm just glad it's not dead. Past the garden into another section of the yard is my raspberry patch. This was new last year, so I harvested almost nothing. This is the year that it's supposed to happen, and it was so nice to see them sprouting up and just realize how much they'd spread. Everybody said they would spread, but still, sometimes I just have trouble trusting it, and I feel surprised when it happens. So here's the raspberry patch. I need to do a little bit of weeding down here, but things have really filled out, and that's just from 6 little dormant canes that I bought off someone in the Facebook marketplace. You can see it's just starting to set a bit of fruit. Back here next to the front door is my cold frame. Like I said, the garden really is spread out. I've got to cut some of these snapdragons so that they can bush out a little more fully, but I'm loving their colors. And here in the cold frame, you can see I've got a little space that needs to be planted. We harvested radishes. Kale is doing well. Spinach is done. I gotta pull this. I really don't want to have garden space that's just not working. It's done its job and it's over. And some beautiful lettuces. I'll probably pull some of those. You know what? Let me pull some right now. So that's everything in this upper area. Let me take you down to the herb garden and the lower garden. Down here on this terrace are my herbs. I've used this spot for a couple different things in the past and decided to transition it to an herb garden. So a lot of this is newly planted and will fill in to be nice and full. Like the oregano and rosemary are going to be much bigger. This section makes me really happy. Let me actually climb up there so I can show you a good view of this. My chamomile reseeded from last year. It was really nice to have something that I didn't have to plant or buy. I'm going to harvest a few of these. This is my first little chamomile harvest of the year. I try to harvest chamomile every other day when it's blooming. It's one of those, the more you harvest, the more it grows kind of plants. So you got to take these blooms off so that the plant doesn't think it's done its job yet. It doesn't think that it's gone to seed. I love that pretty harvest. There's a really nice, delicate smell right now from having harvested these. I wish you could smell it. Moving past the chamomile, there's cilantro. Gives me trouble every year, but I can't stop trying. Here's my holy basil. It is not looking excellent. I started it from seed, and I think is got a nitrogen deficiency. I bet it'll bounce back. Down here on the end is something that's new to me and I'm really excited about. Almost got my first blossom open. This is calendula. My daughter has been dealing with some eczema this past winter, and I really want to try making a calendula salve and see if that helps to soothe some of her skin irritation. So I've not grown calendula before, but I know it's supposed to help with soothing skin. I'm eager to see how effective it is. So moving past the herb terrace, we come to the lower garden. Last but not least, on the way, let me show you all of this is my mint. Let me see if it's dry. I had planned to harvest some. It's actually already dried out. I think I will harvest some. So there's two kinds of mint here. There's apple mint and mojito mint. We dry these and drink mint tea throughout the winter. The mojito mint goes into some mojitos too. If you've ever grown mint, you know that once you plant it, you'll never lack for mint again. I'm really glad that my mom planted it here along the sidewalk because it can expand without taking over any of the vegetable garden. And it's space that I'd otherwise just have to landscape, so now it can produce something that we'll use. So past the mint, the last portion of garden, here's the lower garden. Over on the right here is my pepper bed, and on this side I've got sweet potatoes and cucumbers. These are hot peppers and sweet peppers. Bell peppers on this side, jalapenos, ahi mango, which makes the most amazing hot sauce. Back in this corner is one of my favorites. You can't tell what's going on yet, but this is the lunchbox mix. It produces those cute little snack-sized peppers, and my kids really do snack on them. So there's no way I would ever skip planting this thing. If it encourages my kids to snack on peppers, it's a win. These are Beauregard sweet potatoes, and I've got Katrina cucumber and the Boston pickling. I can't wait to make some pickles. I was really pleasantly surprised last year when my video about canning dill pickles became the most viewed video. Maybe that's what brought some of you here. So I'm looking forward to making some more pickles with you. I think we might try some bread and butter pickles this year. You'll see that throughout this area I'm incorporating marigolds and nasturtium. Here's some nasturtium over here. I'm doing anything I can to include some beneficial flowers to help keep the pests at bay. Back here are the onions. I've got red onions here and Patterson and a Spanish sweet. And here's the tomato bed. I cannot wait. It's so close. I think I've got a few blooms here. Let me see. Yes. They'll set fruit soon. The sun is really in my face now. Most of these tomatoes are paste tomatoes. They're Amish paste tomatoes because that's the best for me for making into salsa and spaghetti sauce and all the other things that I want to can. But there are 2 slicer tomatoes here too that we'll use for fresh eating. Finally, here in the back, we've got a bed of celery and beets. Look how dramatically different the celery in the middle is from the edges. I'm not sure if it's a moisture difference or what. But look at the size of that versus that. It's my first year growing celery, so I don't know what's going on, but the middle stuff looks really happy. Golden beets and red beets here. And then over here are carrots and sweet peas. These got started a little late, so they're not blooming yet. And again, I'm using nasturtium to manage some of the pests. The last thing I want to show you is right here. These are some pumpkins. I know that this is not a good place to grow pumpkins, but they sprouted from my compost bin. And so I scooped them out and put them here until I could figure out what to do with them. So the last thing I want to show you is that little gardening experiment I said I'm going to try. Those pumpkin seedlings I don't really have space for right now. And I also love things like cantaloupe and watermelon, all those space hog fruits. So I want to try planting a spot that's totally not prepared as a garden bed. Our property has a bank on the edge, the steep drop off, and it leads to land that's not been cleared. We just let it run wild. So it's got grasses and all different kinds of things growing in it. At the end of the lane though, the space over the bank gets sunlight. And so I'm thinking of just digging a hole and putting some pumpkins and watermelon and cantaloupe into this kind of wild land and seeing what happens. Let me show you the spot I have in mind. So right here's what I'm thinking. You can see there's grass down there that my neighbor mows. I don't know if that's our land or not, but he mows it. I'm not gonna mess up that. But all of this land is just not being used for anything right now, and we've been trying to figure out what to do with it. Let me know in the comments what you think. If I plant cantaloupe in these grasses, just dig a hole, do you think it's got a chance? I've got absolutely nothing to lose by trying it, so why not? And it would really expand our growing space if that was usable for some things. Here's the day's harvest. I'm really looking forward to eating that broccoli. Join me next week to see how we're going to use all these garlic scapes. Until then, bye.